All right, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Whenever the show goes on, the show must go on. Today we have a special show to introduce our 3 candidates out of the 7 that we have on the ballot. And today I'm Mark Zuberek, and I'm going to be a host, and we have Tony Betancourt on constant companion here. So thank you, Tony. And today we have Natalie Fiore. Now, Natalie Luca Fiore, or how do you want that to be?
It depends on how quick I need to say my name.
Well, then you're Natalie Fiore.
Okay. That's fine.
Michael Baxter.
Yes.
Michael Baxter is a candidate for the Board of Selectmen. And Mark Lantini, another candidate for the Board of Selectmen. And I hope Mark carries you all the way to victory. Because Mark's win.
I know. Thank you, Mark.
So, the agenda and the opinions are solely by the topics of the town host, our guests, contributors, and commentators. I usually have a quote or a saying that I introduce every show with. And the one that I chose today, there's 2 that I chose today. One is from Eleanor Roosevelt, of all people, and I respect that lady. She did some good things. Be flexible, but stick to your principles.
That's a good one.
You have to be flexible in politics and in life altogether. So that was by Eleanor Roosevelt, and I live by that, and I think it's something that we should consider. The second one I chose is by William Arthur Ward. And let me just read this because it's very deliberate. It is wise to direct your anger towards problems, not people. To focus your energies on answers and not on excuses. And we have all lived through excuses at the Board of Selectmen's meetings, school committee meetings. There's always an excuse for not getting anything done. Well, I would encourage all 3 of you, when you get elected, you need to stop making excuses and get some action. So, as guests today, you are the candidates for the Select Board. And I said to myself the other day, Select Board needs new blood to focus on solutions and not on excuses. And I go back to my saying. Ballot placement, and you've all been exposed to the ballot placement on the May 6th election ballot. Ms. Fiore is number 1 on the list. So when you choose your ballot, check off number 1. Franceschini, Sandy, is number 2. Again, if you want Sandy to be elected to Select Board, check it off. Mike Baxter is number 3. You know, you're right after the ladies, so I don't know how you're going to make out.
Not a bad place to be.
But exactly, and Baxter is with a B.
Yes, sir.
So make sure you get that in. And then we have Mark Lantini.
Yes, you do.
Mark Lantini is number 4. Dan Bennett, the current chairman of the board and 16 or 18-year selectman. So he's running for re-election. And Mr. Kevin Birch is number 6. Oh, Berish?
Berich.
Berich.
Berish. I don't know. It's a
okay.
Polish pronunciation. What do you want?
Exactly. Can't have everything, you know.
And he's number 6. And Gardner Trask.
Put out the trash.
A repeat performance.
Be nice.
Now be nice.
Be nice.
That's
For Tony, that was nice.
So Gardner is running at the end of the list,
Yes.
and he's number 7.
And hopefully stays there.
And the motto on the street. Let me just
Okay.
put this out right now because that's what it's all about. Select board, 2 down, 2 to go, needs responsible candidates. That's where you guys come in, or you ladies come in. Today, we will hear from 3 out of the 7 candidates for the select board. And presentations are going to be by individual candidate. And I am going to lead you through some of the very delicate questions. And I promise I won't stump you. I will only announce each candidate by name to allow the candidate to provide the pertinent information in their biography and position statement. Presentation order is selected by the host and is based on ladies before gentlemen.
Absolutely.
So don't have any hard feelings, guys. This
Never.
is the way it is. Then it'll be done by alphabetically after that. Okay? So Natalie Fiore is a
Excellent.
candidate for select board. And what I'd like to do is, Natalie, can you just tell us a little bit of a biography of who you are, what you're doing, why are you running? Because these will be the questions that are going to intermingle with your biography. So, here you go.
Okay, so I think you just want to know a little bit about me personally.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have lived in Danvers for almost 19 years with my husband, Bill, who is a retired Beverly Fire Department lieutenant. We moved here. We were both born and raised in Beverly, but we moved here because we were missing how Beverly used to be, which was sort of called a bedroom community. It was a city but felt like a town, and I could see things changing because I'm a realtor with Keller Williams, and I just was getting a feeling that things were changing drastically. Little did I know, I had no idea what ended up happening was going to happen. So we moved here because we loved this community. I had been working here. We did a lot of our things here, so it just made sense to move here. And so really my biggest passion that I do have is dog rescue. I've been in dog rescue for almost 9 years now, very active in dog rescue. And I'm an avid reader, which is why the library means so much to me. I've always been a reader since being a child, so libraries hold a dear place in my heart.
How many years have you been involved with the library?
It's been 12.
There you go.
It's
So
gone
that's
by
a-
very quickly.
right.
Yep. So,
So
that's about
That's
me.
one of your past activities. What other activities have you participated in with the town?
So when I moved here, I first ran for town meeting member and did not get elected. My precinct, it was contested in precinct 2, and nobody knew who I was, so, but I wanted to get involved in the town, and I thought that was a great way to start. Then there was an opening on the library board, and I was very excited to run for that because, again, libraries are a big thing for me. And I got elected to the library board in 2013. My mom sadly had just had a stroke right before the election. But she knew that I got elected. She was able to communicate and ask me if I got elected. But I told her I was not going to stay on the board because I wanted to devote
Take
all
care
my
of-
attention to her. And she told me no, in no uncertain terms. And she passed away shortly thereafter. So my beginning on the board was kind of with a heavy heart because I was looking forward to sharing that with her. But anyway, I've done 12 years now on the board very happily, and I did run again in 2015 for town meeting member, and I've been a town meeting member since then.
There you go. So that's your current positions with town government. That's what I wanted to get out because you devote some of your time to
Yeah.
these activities.
Yeah, I'm also on the, I got appointed to the committee to look at and make recommendations for updating the town meeting member and the town manager acts.
And what did you learn from that?
A lot,
There you go.
a
That-
lot.
Because that's a very invasive type of evaluation.
Right.
Because you touch every single aspect of the town and how it operates.
Correct. I definitely had differences of opinion, which is, why you have a committee, right? We all bring to the table our own personal experiences and ideas. I definitely stood alone on a lot of on my opinions, which didn't get enacted, but they were heard, they were discussed. It wasn't voted that way, but it was just felt good to be able to get my opinion across.
It's not over yet.
It's not over yet. No, we aren't finished yet.
Right.
Right.
So, the question that I raised, and I'm trying to sum things up, is, and mostly, what will you add to the fabric of this town by being elected and your past activities and what you intend to do?
Well, I hope I would bring my experience being a town meeting member, being on this committee, which I learned a lot about the inner workings of the town manager and his role or her role, as the case may be coming up, and town meeting, things that just going to the town meeting you don't really know. Like this act, I don't know that anybody's ever read it.
Oh, yes, I have.
Well, okay. Right.
I know, guaranteed.
Right.
I have a 3-ring binder
I
over here.
guarantee you, you're probably one of maybe 5.
Yes, I
So,
agree with
so that just life experience in general, being a member of Danvers Rotary and giving back in civic way,
Right.
which I'm their treasurer. So, I think that I bring common sense, which and the biggest thing that I learned from being on these things is compromise. That even if things don't go the way I think they should, I think there's always room for compromise, and everybody can win if you work together.
And that's where you go back to my saying, it is wise to direct your anger towards problems and not
Correct.
people. To focus your energies on answers, not on excuses. So that's
I agree.
what I have. The last 2 questions are really the same. I asked you what can you add to the fabric of the town, but that also leads me into what contribution will you do to the quality of life in the residents of our town, to the residents of our town, and by participation and getting,
Listening to
That's
the town residents, listening to boards and commissions, listening to department heads, listening to really everybody who has something to say or a concern.
Great. The final nail in this coffin is, what do you see as your primary role after election?
Assuming I'm elected?
No, you
or
will
not?
be elected. Don't assume anything.
Because I have an answer for that too.
Yeah.
But obviously, if I'm elected, I would want to start digging in and learning. I feel like nobody is 100% prepared to be on the select board.
Right.
You would have no way of really knowing, even going to the meetings and watching them. You don't know what happens behind the scenes, right? So I feel as though just having good intentions, planning on working hard, and getting right to work is what I would do. If I do not win, I will still want to be involved. I will still volunteer for this town. I believe in volunteerism. My mom taught me that. I will still care about this town. I don't understand people saying that they care about this town or having complaints about it, but yet don't step up and volunteer. And you and I have had this conversation before, Mark, where I believe in term limits. If they are not imposed, they should be self-imposed,
Right.
like I did with the library, because I believe that I love that library and I gave it what I could. And now it's time for someone else to give something to it,
move
right?
on, right.
And so I feel like I would still volunteer for this town
Great.
if I don't win.
So what we're having here is a candidate that worries about the town, how it's administered. But the key thing that I want to bring up is that we have to expose the guy behind the curtain. That's where the Board of Selectmen come into play. So, Natalie, you're in.
Just like that.
Just
Now-
like that. There you go.
What we have in addition, because I'm looking at the clock and it's running away from us.
I told you.
Well, that's okay. So
Fun, it's all that counts.
the next candidate is going to candidate for the Board of Selectmen is Michael E. Baxter. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I personally don't know who the heck you are. So maybe you can let me know what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us here and for having me here and giving me this platform to talk to the public about, what I'm running on and why I'm running. As the youngest member of 7 running for select board, I feel that, I can bring a lot of these fresh, new ideas to the town and to the bargaining table when we dig into the data and the issues that are really a concern for the majority of the people in Danvers right now. And I want to tell everybody that I'm for the residents of Danvers, young, old, and in between. My name is Mike Baxter. I have a 8-year-old daughter in the school system. And, what I've been seeing in the school system is that they're starting to become overcrowded, starting to reach capacity. I want to work with, the school committee to make sure that there's enough teachers, that the school is getting all the necessary funding that they need, and, really diving into the infrastructure of this town. There's a lot of talk about new developments and building and more people in this town growing. And I think that the town growing is inevitable and it's great. But the reason I moved to Danvers with my family is because it was a small town. And we want to keep it that way. And the more people that I talk to, and I'm talking to residents and business owners every day, they want to keep it a small town as well. And I think the way we do that is invest in infrastructure. We have to get our infrastructure up to par before we can even talk or consider expanding with these large apartment complexes that are going in that have become an issue. The other thing is, as we drive through town square, there's about 10 abandoned storefronts right now. We have to invest in infrastructure, in small business. We have to make it appealing to small businesses to come to Danvers, we shouldn't have abandoned storefronts in Danvers. There's no need for that. We have a beautiful community, a thriving community, and I think that we have more young families in Danvers now than we've ever had before. That being said, we also need to invest in police, EMS, and fire. If we don't have these things, we are no longer a safe, thriving community. They're the people that protect us and save our lives in our times of need. And if we're not funding these organizations and public safety, we're screwed. So I think it's very important that we fund the three of those organizations to the fullest.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you, and
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
did not fully explain your biography. What is your profession?
I've been in the food and beverage industry for 20 years. I'm currently in liquor sales. I'm a regional sales manager for a supplier. And
Are you a veteran?
I'm not a veteran. I have
Okay.
many cousins and uncles that are full military, and I thank all of our veterans for their service, as well as our, firefighters and police officers. I stand with all of them.
And one of the things that I've asked all of you is your past activities within the town. What have you participated in, and how did you get involved, and why heck are you running? That's going to be the question that's going to be asked of you every
Absolutely.
time you meet someone.
And it's like I said before, I want to bring a fresh, new approach to Danvers. And I think with all the younger families moving into Danvers, we need to make sure that we invest in our children's futures, because we're making them into better citizens with their education, their safety, their after-school programs, and not neglecting the senior citizens and the people that have lived in Danvers their whole lives, because we need to also keep them in mind, because they've built this beautiful community that we now reside in. And I have great respect for my elders, and I think that we can learn a lot, from the history of Danvers.
Speaking of your comment in regard to the senior citizens, I spent this morning at the senior center, and I still do not admit to the fact that I'm a senior.
I still think I'm young.
and nobody does, right?
Right,
and that's
nobody
the thing.
does.
But it's the term that you are supposed to use. I
Well,
can't
who
say.
told you to use it? I don't use it.
Would you prefer I called you old?
No, no, it's great, but I just that's an extension of our continuing impact on the community, because Senior Center has a lot of activity that
Absolutely.
happens in
Yeah, they
there.
Absolutely.
And they have a new set of management, and
Yes.
I talked to all of them this morning, so they got tired of me, but
They were
you
very
left.
helpful today. They were very helpful today, though, I'm telling you.
Yes, they were.
They were very good. I couldn't believe
That's
it.
a good organization.
Yes.
We need to fund that organization and make sure that it's fully funded.
Oh, it's
continuously.
funded.
It's
Don't
very
worry
good.
about it.
Good. Good.
The
Current,
timers were having a good time.
do you have any current position within the town meeting? Or?
I do not. I
that's-
started attending a lot of the town meetings, select board meetings, and basically every meeting that has come up, I've attended, just to gain some knowledge. I don't sit before you today as a seasoned politician, but I do sit before you today with a promise to listen to the residents and their concerns for the town, and to be your voice. And I would love for your vote and your endorsement, and you can see my full platform on electmikebaxter.com. And I'm running to better this town.
Follow up, similar to what I did with Natalie. What mostly will you add to the fabric of this town? The fabric, I mean, the culture, the townies. I mean, that's what this town is all
Yeah.
about. It's there's not many left, but they're still around.
Absolutely.
These people were involved in developing this town because it was a Sleepy Hollow 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. 20 years ago, it's already started changing. But what are you going to add
I think
as a candidate for Board of Selectmen?
I feel that community outreach is very important, and having a strong sense of community, bringing the townspeople together, whether it's at Endicott Park, whether it's at these town events. I think that Falcon Fest is doing a great
Right.
job. I'd love to continue to work with them and get closer with them. Please reach out to me, Falcon Fest, and let's start talking. If I do or do not get elected, I still want to be a part of your organization.
The question is not that they will reach out to you, is whether you will reach out to them.
Of course, I'm reaching out to
That's
people
more
every day,
important.
Mark.
There you go.
I tell everybody in all walks of life, talk to a total stranger and it will change your life.
Okay. What will your contribution be to the quality of life in Danvers?
That's a good question. I think that, like I said before, making, town hall accessible and approachable for the average everyday resident, I think is very important because it can be scary and very hard to navigate town hall. I want to make sure that, again, I'm reaching out to everybody in the community on a daily basis, asking questions, and more importantly, listening to their concerns. And that's truly what I feel I can bring to this Board of Selectmen.
You see that's happening right now, or do you,
I don't, Mark. I don't.
transparency? Is
Transparency
not
is key.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What do you see as your primary role after you get elected? Forget about after you're
Yeah.
not elected. Forget when you are elected. What are you going to do?
I'm going to get right to work. I'm going to start diving into all the data. I'm going to ask the hard questions, and I'm going to stand up for the people of Danvers to the best of my ability.
Okay. The first thing that just to give all of you a little heads up, is elections are on May 6th. Town meeting is on May 19th. You're going to be representing yourself at the town meeting when you get elected. And you are going to be responsible for standing up for or against any article that comes up. So you have attended some of the meetings, and there's a flavor to the meetings, and you have to be on your toes all the time.
Absolutely.
You gotta go right to work.
That's right. That's Natalie did the same thing. I mean, you have to go right to work because the time that you have ahead of you is very short, and it's intense time because it's not going to be a vacation that summer. You're going to be doing what Natalie has been doing for the last 9 months, basically,
Right.
reviewing the Town Manager Act. That's going to become very important.
I hope they pay her well.
Oh yeah, the
They're
pay
sending
is
me on
great.
vacation afterwards.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Baxter,
Thank you.
and good luck in your endeavors because you need to ask for your vote and you need to get elected. So you're in too.
Thank you. Thank you. Where does that leave
Mark,
Mark?
you're next.
Well, no, wait a
Yes,
minute.
yes.
We haven't got to Mark yet. I mean,
Mark, you're next.
I know.
yeah.
Well, I mean, does it really need? Do I even need to stay? Because these guys are getting in, and there's only 2 seats. So
Well, we don't know that yet.
Yeah, but the seats, the
you just said
seats,
they're in.
the seats move.
Well, by his.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever, what is that dance that you do around
Musical
Oh, musical
chairs.
chairs.
Musical
Go
chairs.
chairs, yeah.
That's what's happening right now.
Okay.
Because like
It's a
I
shell
s-
game, Mark.
We got 7 musical chairs.
well, like I said before, and I'm going to repeat it.
I hope you do.
I hope you're going to be my straight man pretty soon.
I'm not replacing Tony. No,
No,
sorry.
no way.
The question has always been on everybody's lips. Select board are 2 down, 2 to go, need responsible candidates. And that's what we're looking for. And I'm not the only one looking for you guys to come up and challenge the select board because that is the time to refresh the environment inside Town Hall, because we are getting a new town manager.
We have a great opportunity.
And I will identify a picture and a name, because they haven't even told us that at the selectmen's meeting. They said that they negotiated the contract.
For Jill Cahill.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
who is Jill Cahill?
She comes from Gloucester.
Oh, do you?
That's about it.
She's going to be our next town manager.
Yeah.
There's your transparency of government. And she is coming in from a mayoral type government to a town manager town government. And we basically have released Steve because he thought he was in a mayoral election in town, and that's not what that position is. That position is an appointed employee of the town that is responsible to the Board of Selectmen, and that's you three.
Been
And the
saying
Board of
that for
Selectmen.
years.
I know.
Been saying it
All
for
right,
years.
Mr. Lantini.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lantini, could you give us a little bit of a presentation of your biography, who you are, why are you running, and what have your past activities been with the town?
That's an awful lot to
It is.
remember, but I'll do my
That's
best.
all right. I'll lead you on.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mark Lantini. I'm about to enter into my 63rd year as a town resident. Yeah, that's right. I'm lifelong, just like you.
Wow.
I'm married to a wonderful gal. I have 3 amazing children. One in North Carolina, one in St. Augustine, Florida, and one still home.
Still in the basement, huh?
No basement.
Oh, good.
No basement. It's a Campanelli home.
They're gonna take
right.
care of you, right? They're gonna take care of you.
I hope so.
That's what I'm hoping for.
No, but they're all grown and were born and
Self-sufficient.
raised in Danvers.
Correct.
Right.
Gone through the Danvers school system, as did I. Went to Thorpe Elementary, Holton Richmond, graduated Danvers High in 1980. Got a degree from BU in 84.
In what?
History and communications.
Okay. So that's,
Ultimately, I was going to be a teacher, but that didn't pan out so well.
that's a lot of patience.
Currently, I'm employed with the town of Wenham. I was formerly employed with the town of Danvers for 10 plus years. In those 10 plus years, I held the position of union president for the local 1098. Was an advocate for employees, went toe-to-toe with Town Hall quite a bit in those 6 years. I'm a town meeting member currently, Precinct 6. I am a member of the Touchdown Club for 30 plus years,
Yep.
past president. What else?
You still a member right now?
I still am a member.
Well, congratulations, because I was there for 10 years and I just couldn't do it anymore.
And let's see,
But that's a challenge.
it's a great organization that
Yep.
does a lot of good. I mean, we give out scholarships every year. We run the snack bar at the football games, so all the monies that are raised during that go to scholarships and any requests for funds that we get. It's really a fantastic organization. I coached youth football for about 15 years, Little League baseball. So I think I've given back to the community in that respect. Why do I want to run for select board? I want to try to bring common sense back to the board. I've known 3 town managers in my time in Danvers. Bob Curtis, Wayne Marquis, and Steve Bartha. And in the last 7 to 10 years, I do not like the direction that this town is going in. I have some ideas on numerous things that need to be addressed. Like you had said, the town manager is an appointed position. The town manager reports to the select board. The select board has the people select board, but the select board controls the town manager. And the town manager operates in accordance with what the select board would like to happen. So there's quite a lot of things that need to be accomplished in town. We need to get back on track. We need to bring a little bit more structure to the community that I grew up in that seems to be slipping away a little bit here and there. There was some great conversation at the last select board meeting that needs to continue with the 3A and the ADUs and all the rest of it. And those are conversations that I want to be directly involved in, because being in town hall, being a part of the community, knowing what has gone on in the past, like I said, we have an opportunity. We have a fresh start with Joe Cahill. We need to bring employees back. We need to bring quality employees back, because we lost well north of 100 quality employees that just couldn't deal with the environment in town hall.
Bureaucracy
So there needs
and
to be
politics, right?
yes, there needs to be accountability from the top down, ultimately.
Well, you know what, I'm just listening to either you or Natalie, is that you're on the similar path. They are reviewing a Town Manager Act, which really dictates of how this town should be run.
Correct.
And the policies and procedures are set by the Board of Selectmen, and the town manager as an employee is no different than a administrator out of Gloucester, because he or she are not elected to that position. And they are responsible or responsive to the Board of Selectmen
Correct.
for the direction, the consequences of what happens in our town. As a town manager, they're not responsible for that. All they want to do is make sure that they have enough money from the tax revenue, and you heard me the other night, tax revenue is flowing in. There's a lot of bank accounts that are set in the background, and those are going to be used for pet projects down the road.
And instead of tax money, we need to explore different revenue streams. And there are several out there, but we need to explore different revenue streams 100% instead of going up on taxes.
Well, the taxes are maxed out
Maxed
anyway.
out. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
And that's what has to change, because the levy capacity has been at the top or just under to make it look good. That
For years.
Yes, for years.
Well, we've still lost
This
out.
is since,
We've been downgraded on our bond rating,
yeah, that's right,
so and we keep
But-
bouncing off the debt ceiling. Why?
because that's how it's been set up, and that's how they
Fiscal
like it.
responsibility is what we need.
And
That's
accountability.
where,
And accountability, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Not to interrupt him.
No, no.
Yep.
Thank you. I need
so,
all the help I can get.
all right, you want to be in or not?
He's in.
Somebody's got to go.
Mostly, what will you add to the fabric of this town? And that really goes together with the quality of life. Whether it's the fabric or quality of life, it's one and the same thing. But it's a cultural thing. The quality of life of a small bedroom community because that's what we are. We are very lucky that we have 30% industrial and commercial. However, that is dwindling.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, we don't want to admit it, but they're pursuing a path of increasing the housing. Who's going to be living in those? So, what quality of life issues will you support, and how are you going to improve the fabric of this town?
Having grown up in the community, I think that I know that things have changed, and not for the better. The bedroom community that you speak of is starting to get away from us. I mean, if we get any more Maple Squares in the downtown area, downtown's just gonna be ruined. I've heard from numerous folks in town hall that we don't have a parking problem. We don't have a traffic problem. Yet, when I want to come down Conant Street at 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Forget about it.
it takes me 12 minutes to get to the lights at Elliott Street. And
Yep.
don't even think about going 62 to Maple Street because you're going to be another 20 minutes to get to Route 1. So, and the parking problem it's just that. Even with all the vacant storefronts in downtown, there is still a parking problem. So I think that needs to be addressed in a serious way. And I think I'm going to bring, once again, common sense. I will listen. In everything I say, I'm not going to make everybody happy with what I say, but I'm going to be true to me, true to my values, because at the end of the day, I'm going home and I'm going to put my head on the pillow and I'm going to sleep well at night.
Are you trying to live by my quote?
I do that every day. I did that before you even said that.
Well, I'm glad. You're in.
Oh, jeez.
The
We
only
got to bump one more seat
I
down.
have one
Well,
more.
we got the musical chairs going on.
I have one more question for you. What do you see? And I've asked both Natalie and Mike about this. What do you see as your primary role after election? The day after, what are you going to do?
I'd really like to sit down with Miss Cahill and have a conversation with her, if she's in yet. But I'll leave a message. As Natalie and Mike have both said, get to work. I mean, there's a lot to be fixed. There's a lot to be tweaked. There's so much that downtown does not look like downtown anymore. And that, for me, that's a problem. I mean, I remember angle parking, not parallel parking, Woolworths.
I love
you know,
this.
the 5 and dime and, you know, all that stuff. I remember that. And it's never going to be that way again. Just like Wayne Marquis is not walking through that door,
Right.
unfortunately. He was the best. But once again, we have an opportunity as a select board to be able to go in, sit, and let her know how it used to be, how it needs to be, how it's going to be.
But let me
Well
just
said.
correct you slightly.
You can, Mark.
It is not up to the town manager to make those changes. It's up to you and the board to sit down and say, what do we want to be when we grow up?
And you need a majority, at least 3.
That's the key, and that's where my statement about 2 down, 2 to go is very appropriate, because that board is split up. And when I was on the board, I was the one sitting in David Mills' seat, and I was the only no vote ever.
They set
So-
you up, man.
That's okay.
That's why
but
they put him at the end.
No, but I wanted to stay there because I had an opportunity to speak up after they had their chance.
Correct.
And the thing is that you have to take chances at the board. You have to make motions to get anything done, because if you don't make a motion and you don't have a second, that'll never be discussed.
Correct.
And you've seen that already in the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
So, you're in. So, thank you. All of you have basically exposed yourself, because that's what the Danvers residents want to know. Who are we voting for? And I hope to have this thing run over and over for the next 3 weeks, because May 6th comes around very quickly. So, just want to report. I forgot
I
about
didn't do
you.
anything.
How do you forget about Tony?
I don't know, because you made him sit next to me.
I didn't do anything. It wasn't me.
Tony, you have any questions for these three lovely people?
What I heard here was music to my ears, okay? That's what's wrong with this town, and that's what they're going to try to correct. That's beautiful. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. This guy's talking about angle parking. I remember angle parking. It used to be excellent, okay? I remember the way it used to be, okay? This town has gone down the tubes, okay? It's about time. We have to wake up here. They're spending too much money here, okay?
Well, let's just report one thing in regard to the Beverly Airport, because we
Okay.
never miss the opportunity.
No, we don't.
This morning, we spent with Sally Kearns,
1 hour.
our representative, and some other individuals, and I will report on that. I'll send you an email in regard to what was going on and what we intend to do, because Beverly Airport is an impact on our quality of life. And that's where I think we need to have this commentary come out and address it with each and every candidate that comes on board, because you're going to have to make some decisions sooner or later. We are already living with that. You are living with it as well.
Right across the street.
That's right. That's why.
And it's not getting any better. That's the problem, okay? Everybody thinks I'm doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for myself. I want to save this town.
There you
Okay.
go. So what we're looking for is some commitments, some involvement, participation in this process, because we are getting railroaded to whatever is going to happen. All they're waiting for is exhaustion from the residents. And that's where the selectmen can come into play. What I understand is that Mr. Bennett has requested not a proclamation, resolution that will be presented from the Board of Selectmen to Beverly in regard to what are we concerned about. And what we want to do is identify the noises, the air emissions, the environmental issues that are happening, and the gigantic hangar, 300 feet long, 135 feet wide, and 47 feet high. You're going to have that looking into your living room.
I hope
We
not.
don't want Logan Airport in Danvers.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to report, because we both participated in that this morning. However, in addition to elections, I want to report to you as candidates that I have invited the incumbent, Dan Bennett, and I have scheduled that discussion, similar to what you guys just went through, forward for an interview, and he semi-agreed, so we'll see how that works. But I also, I don't have any favoritism. You know that.
Yes,
Right.
of course.
So I have invited the former selectman Gardner Trask, who is also running, and he's the last name on the ballot. That's a significant achievement, last name on the ballot. But I also invited him for the April 11th show, which is similar to what we're doing here. And we are awaiting response, and I've had some discussions, and we'll see how that works. If they
I'll
don't,
stay home for that show.
well, that's okay. You are the favorite son here anyway. But you know what? Whatever's good for the new candidates is also good for the former candidates or incumbents.
I think that everybody should have an equal opportunity.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
what I'm proposing, and I hope that they take it up, and we'll go from there. But so now, what I want to do is, Greg, if you can put up the picture of Jill Cahill,
Oh, okay.
because there you go.
There she is.
Yep.
There's a young lady that's been working at the Gloucester.
Yes.
City of
I
Gloucester.
have,
Yes.
I have to learn how to spell Gloucester.
Wow, you can spell it different ways.
No, it's Gloucester.
Well, yeah,
That's how outsiders will pronounce it.
that's right.
But she is in a role of administrator, and I guess her resume and the acceptance by the evaluation committee was successful. We also had. Can you throw up the other picture?
Candidate?
There you go. Now, here we have the three candidates that were selected. The one in the middle is Sean Fitzgerald.
It was from people,
Is
if
it?
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That's an old picture.
I was
Okay, I was
gonna
going to
say.
say
I was
that
gonna
did
say,
not
yeah, I
look
know
like the
that.
gentleman
Well,
that I
yeah.
saw
Right.
interviewed.
I'm going to say
Okay.
the same thing, too.
But
Okay.
I know
mugshot.
Sean
I
from
was
the
just gonna
past
say that.
because we've dealt with the Essex Tech
Okay.
and Peabody
All right.
and all that. The
So Mrs. Cahill's the first one?
no,
No.
Mrs.
No.
Cahill is the last one.
Oh.
No.
But-
No,
No,
that
she's
is
the-
not.
No.
The previous picture.
Well, then let's
That's
throw
that's
up the
there you go.
previous
Let's see it,
picture.
let's see it.
Okay,
Let's figure this out
forget
here.
it. Forget it.
Investigation.
I was, you know what? The one thing that I noticed with this selection process is that there's no connection between the face and the resume and the decision that was made by the board of by the two selectmen that selected the individual with this group that was there. So now, if you run into Jill Cahill, you know what she looks like, and you won't surprise her, or you won't
That's
get
true,
surprised.
Exactly.
Well,
she could be
hope-
incognito.
Hopefully, if she's not downtown talking to the business owners and the residents like she said she was going to do, she's going to be in her office. So we'll be able to find her one way or the other.
Well, we found Steve in his office all the time,
You never saw him downtown.
But you got to
I
talk to the
was very
secretary.
disappointed.
You got to talk to the secretary to get an appointment.
and Freitas controlled the
Exactly.
whole bailiwick.
Thank God for Ann.
Now, the one thing that I've asked the previous two candidates is, what are your expectations from the new manager? And this way we'll go, Mark, you go first, and then we'll go down the line to Natalie.
My expectations from Jill are that she's going to listen to the board, the select board. She needs to hear what has happened in the past, good and bad. And once again, she needs to take direction from the board. And I would expect her to be true to her word. At that last interview, she said she was asked a question, and she says, I really can't answer that. I need to get downtown. I need to sit with the business owners. I need to talk to residents. So that being said, I hope she's true to her word, and she does exactly what she says she was going to.
Good. Mike?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I've talked to most of the business owners in Danvers Square, and they are amazing people. And I give them a lot of credit for going in and opening their shop every day and providing their services to the community. I think it would be very advantageous of Mrs. Cahill to go out there and interact with these individuals, as well as door knocking and introducing yourself. We're all doing that right now. And I think that if you're the manager of this town that's not a resident coming into the town, I think first and foremost she needs to definitely act upon going out there with full-on community outreach. And then, I hope she really is knowledgeable about, reading a P&L and managing the budget and keeping the tax obligations and strain of the community in mind when she makes some of her decisions, and then also, lastly and most importantly, listens to the direction of the select board.
She chooses the direction by the select board, yes. And that's where the town manager comes into play. Our budget is fat. I mean, we've exposed that a long time ago. However, now to utilize that fat that's in the savings accounts has to be done very wisely. And that's where the Board of Selectmen, one of the things you mentioned that she should walk around and knock on doors and things like, no. That's where the Board of Selectmen should take her for a walk and identify what issues there are, what kind of facilities we have, where are our problems, identify it to her, but also direct her at the Board of Selectmen's meeting. That's where the Board of Selectmen has made some errors. Okay, I'm done. Natalie.
Okay.
Hit it.
So quickly, I did go to the interviews, sat through, and I do think she interviewed very well. I have been on hiring committees. I sat on it twice for the library director, so I do have some experience with that. So I think she interviewed very well. I do like that if she didn't know an answer, she said that she didn't instead of making something up, and that she said that she would learn about the airport and things like that that she wouldn't have any real knowledge of. I do think that this relationship with the new board and a new town manager needs to get off on the right foot, where the hierarchy is set.
Established and
Right.
set, correct.
But I do
Thank you.
trust that she's going to do a good job.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Tony.
Yes,
Thank you
And
for having
thank
us.
you, Danvers, for listening.
Thank you.
And I hope this is instructive to make your vote on May 6th. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.